Hey everyone! Welcome back to TechVerse Reviews 321, your go-to place for honest and detailed tech reviews. Today we're diving into the iPhone 17 Pro Max 30 days later review. After using it for a full month, I've got some real insights, the good, the bad, and the surprising. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and help us reach 10,000 subscribers and 1,000 watch hours. Your support means the world. Rock it! Number 1 iPhone 17 Pro Max. Design review. Let's talk about the design of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, because this year it's not about big visual changes, it's about how it feels to live with. When I first held it, my instant thought was, okay, this doesn't feel like any previous iPhone. It's lighter, smoother, and somehow more balanced. The titanium frame gives it a sturdy but comfortable grip. It doesn't dig into your hand, and it doesn't slip either. Apple finally found that sweet spot between premium and practical. From a distance, sure, it still looks like an iPhone, the same basic shape, same camera layout. But up close, you notice how everything is more refined. The corners are softer, the edges flow more naturally into the glass, and the matte finish on the back gives it that soft touch texture that just feels luxurious. It's the kind of phone you keep flipping over in your hand because it's just that nice to hold. The color choices this year feel more grown-up. Instead of flashy tones, Apple went subtle, muted metallics that shift slightly under light. My personal favorite is the new titanium blue. It changes character depending on lighting, sometimes grayish, sometimes deep blue. It's classy, not loud. Now about that camera bump. Yes, it's still there, and yes, it's still massive. But somehow it doesn't look awkward anymore. Apple blended it better into the rear glass, so it feels like part of the design instead of something slapped on top. When you lay the phone on a table, it rocks a little less, which is a small but appreciated improvement. Flip to the front and you'll see one of the thinnest bezels ever on an iPhone. It almost feels like the display is spilling over the edges. When you're watching content or gaming, it just pulls you in. The screen and the body feel like one continuous piece, not two separate parts. One thing I really noticed is how well Apple balanced the weight. The older Pro Max models used to feel top-heavy, not this one. The internal layout seems optimized, so the phone sits evenly in your hand. You don't have to constantly shift your grip, which makes long sessions much more comfortable. The buttons are another small but solid upgrade. The new action button feels clicky and customizable, something I use more often now. The haptics, the sound, everything feels fine-tuned. It's like Apple took feedback from actual users instead of just designers. Durability also seems improved. The titanium frame doesn't smudge easily, and it resists scratches far better than polished stainless steel. After a few weeks of daily use, no case, just raw phone, it still looks almost new. That's impressive. If there's one word that sums up the iPhone 17 Pro Max design, it's confidence. It's not trying too hard. It doesn't need to shout, "Look at me." It's understated, mature, and functional in the best possible way. So no, it's not a radical redesign. But it's a smarter, more thoughtful one. Every edge, curve, and texture feels like it was tested by real people, not just drawn on a CAD model. And honestly, that's what great design is. Not something you notice right away, but something that quietly improves how you use your phone every single day. Number 2 iPhone 17 Pro Max. Display review. The display on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is one of those things that doesn't scream for attention until you start using it. Then you realize just how far Apple has pushed it this year. The moment you turn it on, the brightness hits you first. This panel can go insanely bright, around 2,800 nits at peak, which means even under harsh sunlight, you can see everything perfectly clear. No squinting, no shadowy reflections. It's the kind of brightness that makes outdoor use finally effortless. Apple is still using its Super Retina XDR promotion display, but this time it feels smoother. The 120Hz refresh rate isn't new, but the adaptive control has improved. Scrolling through feeds, playing games, or even just navigating the UI, It feels silk smooth. You don't notice the refresh rate anymore. You just notice how natural everything looks. 19. Colors are what really make this display stand out. Apple's calibration is on another level. The tones are rich but never oversaturated. Skin tones look real, greens aren't too punchy, and the contrast stays deep without crushing details. When you're watching HDR content, it almost feels like the image floats off the screen. That's how vivid the dynamic range is. The bezels have also shrunk again this year. They're so thin that the front of the phone basically disappears when the screen is on. It's nearly all display, and that adds a lot to the immersive feel. Whether you're gaming or watching movies, it genuinely feels cinematic. Another subtle but important change is the anti-reflective nano coating Apple added. It's not something you'll see in spec sheets, but you'll definitely notice it in daily use. It cuts down on reflections dramatically, even under indoor lighting. Reading or editing photos feels easier on the eyes because the glare is minimal. Touch responsiveness has been tuned too. When you swipe or type, there's almost zero input delay. For gamers, that's a big deal. Combined with the A19 Bionic chip, it feels incredibly responsive. Almost instant feedback on every tap and gesture. Apple also refined the always-on display feature. It's now smarter with adaptive dimming and color shift, so it blends better with your surroundings. It's bright when you need it, subtle when you don't. And it barely touches the battery, which is impressive for how crisp it looks. Watching HDR movies or YouTube in 4K on this thing is unreal. The highlights pop without washing out other areas. Blacks stay deep, and there's no blooming, something even some OLED competitors still struggle with. It's the kind of screen that makes you want to rewatch old videos just to see how they look here. For creators, the accuracy is outstanding. If you edit photos or videos on your phone, what you see on this display is almost exactly what you'll get on a professional monitor. Apple's color science stays consistent across its devices, and that makes the workflow super reliable. Eye comfort is another area Apple quietly improved. The new display uses a low flicker backlight and better color temperature adjustments, reducing strain during long sessions. You can scroll, read, or binge content for hours without feeling that usual eye fatigue. 28. Overall, this display isn't just beautiful, it's functional. It's the perfect balance of brightness, accuracy, and smoothness. It doesn't try to dazzle with exaggerated colors or gimmicks. It just delivers a clean, consistent, and premium experience every single time you turn it on. Number 3. iPhone 17 Pro Max. Camera review. The camera system on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is where Apple clearly put in the most work this year, and you can tell the moment you start shooting. Apple didn't just bump up megapixels. It changed how the camera feels to use. Everything from shutter speed to color handling is faster, cleaner, and more natural. Let's start with the main sensor. It's a 48-megapixel sensor, but this year Apple's using a new, larger sensor with better light sensitivity. In daylight, it delivers insane detail. You can zoom in and still see texture in clothing, skin, or even the clouds. But it's at night where it really shines. Low-light shots are crisp, shadows are clean, and the noise is almost gone. The new image fusion process combines multiple exposures in a split second, giving you those deep blacks and soft highlights without making everything look over-processed. The ultra-wide lens has improved dynamic range. It keeps more detail in the corners and doesn't distort as much as before. When you're shooting landscapes or architecture, straight lines actually stay straight. The color tone also matches the main lens much better. Finally, no weird color jump when switching lenses mid-video. Now the star of the show, the 5x periscope telephoto. This is Apple's most impressive zoom setup yet. At 5x, it delivers sharp, stabilized shots that actually look professional. Even handheld video at that zoom level looks steady. The new lens elements and sensor shift stabilization work together to keep everything smooth. Apple also upgraded the image processing pipeline this year. The smart HDR8 system handles light transitions much more gracefully. Instead of blowing out highlights, it keeps the tones realistic. Faces stay well lit even when the background is bright, perfect for vlogs or travel photography. Portrait mode feels brand new too. The edge detection is significantly improved. Hair strands, glasses, and fine details appear clean. Plus, you can now adjust focus after taking the shot. It's fast and super useful if you missed that perfect focus point. The bokeh looks more natural, more like a DSLR than a phone filter. On the video side, it's classic Apple dominance. You get up to 8K at 30 frames per second and 4K at 120 frames per second, and the results are incredible. The footage looks cinematic right out of the camera. Rich colors, balanced contrast, and smooth exposure changes. The action mode has less crop and better stabilization now, so you can run, pan, or vlog handheld without worrying about shake. Apple's also improved micro-detail recording. Tiny textures, fabric, leaves, even raindrops, retain clarity instead of smearing. Combine that with spatial audio recording, and your clips sound as good as they look. For content creators, the ProRAW and ProRes options are still here, but they're more efficient. The new codec gives you high quality without eating all your storage. You can even edit right on the phone. The new chip handles color grading smoothly in apps like Final Cut for iPhone. Front camera. Surprisingly solid this year. Apple's TrueDepth system captures natural skin tones and sharper selfies, especially in tricky lighting. The lens coating reduces flares when shooting toward light sources, a small change that makes a big difference. One of the things I noticed is how consistent all three rear cameras feel now. No sudden color shifts, no exposure jumps. Switching between lenses during video feels seamless, and it finally gives you that professional multi-camera look. Overall, the iPhone 17 Pro Max camera isn't just about higher specs, it's about consistency. You can shoot anything anywhere and trust it'll look good. Day, night, photo, or video, it just delivers. It's less about showing off and more about giving creators and everyday users reliable, professional-grade results every single time. Number 4, iPhone 17 Pro Max. Battery review. Battery life has always been one of the biggest strengths of the Pro Max series, and the iPhone 17 Pro Max pushes that even further. What Apple has done this year isn't just about giving it a bigger battery. It's about making every bit of power last longer. The first thing you'll notice after using it for a few days is consistency. It doesn't matter if you're watching videos, gaming, or just scrolling social media. The drain feels slower, steadier, and more predictable. On heavy days, you can easily get 8 to 9 hours of screen-on time, and on moderate use, it stretches comfortably into the next day. A big part of that improvement comes from the new A19 Bionic chip. It's not only faster but also far more efficient. Apple redesigned the power cores to consume less energy during background tasks, and you can actually feel it. The phone stays cooler even when you're multitasking or editing videos. Less heat means less wasted power. 47. Apple also tweaked how iOS manages power in the background. Apps that aren't being used get frozen intelligently, and notifications now refresh more efficiently. So, even if you're someone who never closes apps, the phone still conserves power instead of draining it. Charging speed has improved slightly, but what's more interesting is power management. Wired charging tops out at around 30 watts, but Apple's new adaptive charge algorithm learns your routine. If you charge overnight, it holds the battery at 80% and finishes just before you wake up, which helps preserve battery health over time. Wireless charging through MagSafe is still capped at 15 watts, but it's more stable this year. Less heat buildup and faster recovery if you bump the charger out of place. And yes, Apple finally improved the reverse charging feature. You can now trickle charge your AirPods or Apple Watch directly from the phone, and it actually works reliably. Let's talk about real-world endurance. Watching HDR content on full brightness for 2 hours takes around 15 to 18% off the battery, which is impressive considering the screen's peak brightness levels. Gaming drains faster, of course, but even graphically intense games like Genshin Impact or Call of Duty Mobile don't destroy the battery as quickly as they used to. Standby time is excellent. Leave it overnight and it barely drops 1 or 2%. That's thanks to the new low-power display driver and smarter idle management in iOS 19. Apple also worked on battery health longevity. The new cell chemistry reportedly handles more charge cycles before degrading, meaning your battery will stay above 90% health for longer. maybe even after 2 full years of daily use. If you use low power mode, the results are almost unbelievable. The refresh rate drops slightly, background activity pauses, and you can easily stretch usage to a day and a half. For travel or long shooting days, that makes a real difference. Temperature management deserves a mention too. The titanium frame and improved thermal design help dissipate heat more evenly, which keeps performance steady under load. No more sudden dips when recording long 4K videos or using the camera outdoors. In practical terms, this is a phone that you can trust. You can start your morning at 100%, shoot videos, browse, navigate, and still end your day with around 30 to 35% left. You stop worrying about carrying a power bank, and that peace of mind is something Apple finally nailed. 56. So while the battery size hasn't dramatically increased, the optimization, from the chip to the software to the cooling, makes this one of the most reliable battery performers you can buy right now. It's not about numbers anymore. It's about how confidently it handles your day without compromise. Number 5. iPhone 17 Pro Max. Performance review. When it comes to performance, the iPhone 17 Pro Max feels like a machine that's built to handle anything you throw at it, and do it quietly, efficiently, and without ever breaking a sweat. Let's start with the heart of it, the A19 Bionic chip. This thing is a monster. It's built on a 2-nanometer process, which means it's not just faster, it's more power efficient too. The CPU and GPU both got major boosts, and you can feel it instantly. Apps open before you even realize you tapped them. Multitasking feels seamless. You can jump between heavy apps like Lightroom, Safari, and YouTube without a single hiccup. What's impressive is how consistent that power feels. There's no sudden drop in speed when the phone warms up. Apple has clearly improved thermal management, and the titanium frame actually helps dissipate heat better than the older stainless steel design. Even after 30 minutes of 4K recording or long gaming sessions, it only gets slightly warm, never uncomfortably hot. Speaking of gaming, this phone is basically a handheld console now. The GPU performance is on another level. The new 6-core graphics engine supports full ray tracing, and games like Resident Evil Village or Call of Duty Warzone Mobile look insane. The lighting, reflections, and textures make it feel like you're playing on a console, not a phone. And it's not just visuals, it's the smoothness. The Promotion 120Hz display pairs perfectly with this chip. Every movement feels buttery, every animation perfectly fluid. Whether you're gaming, scrolling, or editing, there's zero lag anywhere. Another area where the performance really shines is video editing. You can edit full 4K ProRes or even 8K footage directly on the phone without frame drops. The export times are incredibly short. Faster than some laptops, honestly. For creators, this is no longer just a backup device. It's a real workstation in your pocket. AI also plays a big role this year. The A19's neural engine is faster and more efficient, which improves everything behind the scenes. Photo processing, voice recognition, real-time language translation, and even battery optimization. It's the kind of power that doesn't just show in benchmarks, but in actual daily experience. 57. Speaking of benchmarks, yes, the iPhone 17 Pro Max tops almost every chart out there. Geekbench and 22, you name it. But what matters more is how stable those results are. Apple's software integration ensures you get 95% of that peak performance consistently, not just in short bursts like some Android flagships. RAM management has improved too. With 12 gigabytes of unified memory, background apps stay loaded much longer. You can open a game, switch to messages, scroll through Instagram, check mail, and go right back to the game. It resumes instantly. No reloads, no lag. 66. Network performance is also worth mentioning. The new modem handles 5G and Wi-Fi 7 incredibly well. Downloads are blazing fast, and the connection remains stable even in crowded areas. Add in the improved Bluetooth range and faster AirDrop transfers. The whole ecosystem just feels tighter and more responsive. Another underrated aspect of the performance is how quietly confident it feels. It's not trying to impress you with flashy effects or numbers. It's just fast everywhere, all the time. Even simple things like unlocking the phone, opening the camera, or switching modes feel instantaneous. What really separates the 17 Pro Max from previous generations isn't just raw power, it's how efficiently it uses that power. You get top-tier speed without the battery drain or overheating issues. That's something only Apple's hardware-software harmony can pull off consistently. That's it for today's review of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. 30 days later. If you found this video helpful, drop a like, subscribe to TechVerse Reviews 321, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay tech-savvy. Laptop, computer, mobile phone.